Two guys in the dark.
My father was a plastic surgeon, worked his way up from a janitor at a hospital that didn't graduate high school to getting through med school mid-30s. Married my mom in his 40s. She was 20 years younger than him. They always had a strained relationship. He was a workaholic and also had a drinking issue. My mother, on the other hand, was controlling and manipulative. I could see both of their issues at a very young age. I always knew that they needed to be separated, but it didn't happen until my early 20s, which couldn't have been at a worse time. My dad had lost a considerable amount of money after the recession, and he had also gotten 2 types of cancer, prostate and colon to be exact, and almost died. Pretty much stopped practicing medicine altogether. My mother decided that this was the perfect time to divorce him, and in the process, take every little thing from him, including my younger siblings. He fell into a deep depression, and still to this day thinks that he loves this woman, while she continues to take advantage of him. I managed to help him win back his house in court, but he lost every other bit of cash and property. A real shitstorm. Still dealing with it 3 years later. I know it's my mother, and I shouldn't take sides, but she did some horrible things to my family. It's taken years to recover from, and while it wasn't all her fault, she was the primary catalyst in the situation, and didn't have to be spiteful and take every little thing from a man who gave her everything. A friend of mine's ex was making his life miserable, spending money, nagging, berating him, no sex, and making him do everything with the child. Then she would go out, start creeping with a married co-worker. Old dude's wife was pregnant. Well, they got busted because my friend does a lot of electronic work. He hacked her palm and set it up so that when she sent any email, he got a carbon copy of it. He was a mess, but he pulled it together and got her to swing at him. Needless to say, she went to jail. And when she got out a couple of days later, she went back to work. And the guy that she was screwing with had gotten fired because they caught him screwing somebody else at work. She got the house and the child, but because he had an agreement with his new employer. His new salary was set very low for a few months. He ended up paying her $775 in child support and the $125 alimony for 21 months. Also 5 years later, he now has to take her back because she refuses to refinance the house and get his name off of it. He's also suing for full custody because she decided to work nights and weekends, so the child has to stay with him most of the time anyways. My uncle represented this guy getting a divorce from his wife of 15 years. It was a super toxic breakup. They split everything 50-50. Even the land that the house they lived on sat upon. Well, she decided to build a house right behind the other house. Mind you, this was a lot of land. It was probably about 200 yards separated both home sites. So the back of the houses had faced each other. The house gets built. My uncle gets a call from his client asking about the legality of the situation that he had gotten himself into. Apparently his ex-wife would spend a lot of time in her backyard, so he saw her all of the time. What he did was buy a female dog and name it the same name as his ex-wife. Anytime he would let his dog back in from letting her out, he would yell out, "Susan, you bitch, get in here." He would also yell if he was peeing on the flowers. "Susan, you bitch, quit pissing on my flowers." Or, "Susan, you bitch, quit digging in the dirt." The ex-wife called the cops on him a couple of times, but there was nothing that they could do because the dog was registered under the name of Susan, and it was in fact a bitch. So there you go. This was a couple that most people had envied. They had a great relationship. And you would never imagine them ending up with one of the worst divorce horror stories ever. She was from Germany, and he lived in the same place his entire life. Upon first hearing of this couple, you may think this is a green card scenario gone wrong, but she was a legal resident of the United States and had been for many years. However, she did still have dual citizenship, which made traveling back and forth to Europe convenient for her. Working as a research assistant in an academic setting, she was required to gather pertinent information for her university in both countries. Flights to Germany were happening more and more often. He had owned and operated a landscaping business. Summers were very busy for him, so he was content with them both being occupied with their professions. However, after summer, he started to notice changes in her behavior and became very suspicious of her. Soon he discovered that she was involved in an entirely different life. She was involved with another man and was helping him raise his 13-year-old daughter. She was supplying her other family with money and credit cards, spending thousands of dollars during their visits overseas. He ended up walking away with most of the estate, while she was left paying all of the legal fees. At least there was justice in the end. Parents' divorce seems pretty simple. Dad cheated on Mom. Mom gets custody of me. Dad didn't like paying alimony and child support to the tune of $2,000 a month after he gave up his rights. Dad had a great idea. Just pay a hitman $15,000 to kill soon-to-be ex-wife. Dad goes through with it. Idiot actually pays an undercover cop the money. Dad then flies back to Canada, which was his home, and waited for the results. International task force is formed to try and detain him. Geraldo Rivera covers story. Idiot Dad gets arrested in Toronto, flown back to California. In this process, I was 3 in care of a family back down south. Mother in protection by police. Dad's family apparently very wealthy, gets a good lawyer, is charged with 17 felonies. Can't remember how many he was convicted of. He gets 18 months in prison. After all of this, Mom still had to sue for divorce. It took 2 years to get that over with.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.